Recording. Welcome to another episode of The Unexpected Detour, where in life detours are inevitable. I am your host, Frances Hammond, and we are here with the continuation of the resilience of Black women and breast cancer. Today, we have some new people that have joined us, and I'm so excited about that. To have new people here is a good thing. But before we get started, if you haven't purchased this book, yet it is by the co-host Zainab. It's called Ear to Breast Cancer. And in the back, I'm going to tell you, this book is very, very, very helpful. I mean, even though she talked about her journey, she has like a syllabus and things about, breast cancer, like things I had to go back and look up. Thanks to her, I went and looked it up. So we are going to start with Tamika. Tamika, would you like to introduce yourself? Zainab, you can get off the thing if you want to. And you could tell us about your journey with breast cancer.
Yes, my name is, excuse me, my name is Tamika Baker, and I am 48 years old. I discovered my lump when I was about 45. I would say 2021 when I had my regular mammogram in January. It came back clear, everything was great. And when I was in the process of changing OBGYNs, I was going through perimenopause, fibroids, polyps, all the things, going on with my body. And in the midst of that, I was just putting on a bra one day, and that's how I found my lump. And I told my new OBGYN, and she sent me to get a new mammogram at the end of the year of 2021. And that's when they told me at the beginning of January 22 that I had triple negative stage 2, grade 2B breast cancer. So it was a very speedy process. It was no delay. I started having treatment February the 28th of 2022. I did the Red Devil treatment. I had Keytruda as well for the immunotherapy. I did chemo for 6 months. I also did a double mastectomy. And the reason why I chose a double mastectomy is because as I was doing my research going through my chemo about the reoccurrence of triple negative is very high, especially in African American women. So that's why I chose to do a double mastectomy. And in the midst of me doing that, I also decided to do reconstructive surgery, which I ended up doing a deep flap surgery. So my whole journey actually was, I guess you would say, almost 2 years. It was a year before the cancer because I was dealing with fibroids and polyps and perimenopause. And then I had the next following year dealing with breast cancer and hitting straight into menopause due to the chemo. And so now I am cancer free. No evidence as of 2 years. It's 2 years this year. And like I said, I found that I was 45. I'm 48 now. I am a mother of three sons, three adults to be
Yeah.
exact. And I actually am from Atlanta, Georgia, but I live in Houston, Texas. And through the midst of my pain and struggle with breast cancer, I discovered my passion and my purpose. And that's where the birth of Pink Breasty Sister LLC was birthed.
That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. Chanel,
Wow.
would you like to tell us about your journey and how you found your lump and
Sure. My name is Chanel Howe. I'm 44. I was diagnosed last year in October 18th. I want to say October the 11th. I was getting dressed and I felt a lump in my breast. And I work at a hospital with a bunch of nurses. So I asked one of them when I went to work that night, I asked one of them to feel a lump. and they told me that I need to go get it checked. She came with me. We did a appointment for October the 18th. That was like I want to say that was my first mammogram, and it was a domino effect ever since. I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma. I am HER2. I had a double mastectomy. I went with a double mastectomy. But really not because I like digged into the research, just because I didn't want I didn't mind being having my breast the same size. I actually had a Goldilocks mastectomy. A Goldilocks mastectomy is because my breast was big enough that she didn't have to take all my tissue out. So I went from a size H to a size C cup. Um, I had 16 treatments of chemo with the AC. I know a lot of people call it the Red Devil. I prayed and looked at it in a different way. I called it the purification. It purified my body. God blessed me enough to let me get all of the toxins out of my body. I didn't have a hard journey. He was with me the whole time. I didn't get sick. I didn't have no pains. And I sometimes be scared to say that because I know this monster can appear at any time, but I'm trusting in God that that was my journey and it's over with. I did 25 sessions of radiation. That went well. I don't have a lot of complaints. And other than that, I did do my genetic testing. It came back positive for BRCA. So I am they request that I get my ovaries removed because my percentage was very high to get ovarian cancer. So I'm talking to my gynecologist about that now so that we can talk about doing that in the next year or so. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, but I stay in sorry, not Cleveland. I stay in Columbus, Ohio right now. And I'm a mother of two. I have a 13-year-old and which is my daughter, meaning that she has to start getting tested at 25, doing her mammograms at 25. And I have a son who's 4. So my journey was to do whatever I need to do to be there for them. I am cancer free as of November the 14th. And I'm praying and I know God is gonna keep it that way. So
Thank you for
that's my
sharing.
story.
Okay.
Thank you.
TB King. Tequila.
Tequila. So it's Tequila. It's nice to be here with you ladies. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate y'all for, just being here and being transparent with your journeys. Again, it's Tequila. I guess I'll start off in the opposite end. I've got 4 daughters, 29 down to 9 years old. So yeah, it comes with its own little hurdles, but them is my bundles of joy. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I've kind of been bouncing all over the city trying to prepare my children for the world by allowing them to learn how to be adaptable. So I'm currently in Tampa, but in November of 2022, I decided to move from Dallas to Tampa. And upon my arrival here, I want to say it was about December the 19th. One day I was getting out of the shower, laid in a bed and kind of stretched back and went to scratch under my arm. And lo and behold, it was a knot there that I had never seen, never even noticed. But I had previously, like the month before I actually had moved here, had a weight loss surgery. So as they say, I think God ordered my steps because had I probably not lost I think it was about 60 pounds that I had lost in that 2-3 month time frame, I probably would have never even noticed the knot. I'm not very much of a busty woman, so yeah, I likely wouldn't have noticed it. So immediately when I felt that lump, it was hard as a rock, and I knew, and I had never even really known many people who had breast cancer. I had mammograms. I had mammogram actually 6 months before, and it was fine. I had a issue with the other breast. It had like a cyst or something. Nothing came up with the right side. But like I said, on December 19th, I felt that I was able to get rushed into like somewhere that was here to me because everything was new to me. I had to go from Tampa to Miami because I felt like it was important for me to move quickly to get another mammogram and get everything biopsied. And on December 22nd, or not December 22nd, January, I was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma, 3B. And I had one sentinel node that was suspicious. I elected at that time to try to get a second opinion, just, because I started to do a lot of researching and saw that there could be some issues that come about with diagnosis. And since I had came from Dallas, I was like, you know what? I see Houston is got, one of the best places. I ended up going to MD Anderson and got a second opinion. They were pretty much in agreement with what the first facility had found. And I decided, well, that my doctor there actually talked me into doing care here in Florida because I was so new here. I didn't really trust their healthcare system at that time. My journey, of course, was the acamycin and I can't ever think of the name of the other one, Donna something. I don't even know, but I like to call it watermelon sugar. I come up with a different name for it too. I call it the watermelon sugar, point blank. But it was that. I had to do 4 rounds of that. I had to do 12 rounds of the Taxol. And I'm kind of like Chanel. I think I was very fortunate as well. I didn't have a ton of issues along the route. I wouldn't try to, glamorize this process by no means, but I definitely know that I was handled with grace throughout this whole process. And I did struggle with, like white blood cell count and whatnot throughout that process. I elected to do a single mastectomy just up front, simply because they had offered me the option to have what's called a lymph node bypass because I did have all of my lymph nodes removed. And so the lymph node bypass was to try to help alleviate any lymphedema in the arm. And because this was all foreign to me, I was kind of scared to do everything at one time. And my doctor was like, hey, we can knock out everything. We can knock out everything that needs to be done on the right side, and then we can come back for the left breast. Since then, I've kind of struggled a little bit with white blood cell count. They almost thought I had like leukemia. Thank God I didn't. But I do have I'm immune compromised. And I do believe that, everything that came along with the treatment impacted that. I did end up having a complete response to chemo. I only did 16 rounds of radiation. And I was cancer free as of December the 15th of 2023. Right. Thank God. And so, every day is it's a blessing. Every day is a blessing. And despite, like I said, I'm dealing with the white blood cell count issues, which don't allow me to completely take all of the preventative medication that I need. I'm exclusively on Exestamine right now, but I'm on Exestamine and Zoladex, I think is what you call it, the shot to turn off your ovaries. But I should be on another pill. I think it's Verzenio, but because it impacts white blood cell count so much, I'm not cleared to be able to take that. I have done 4 rounds of a leukemia treatment in order to try to increase my white blood cell count, which hasn't necessarily been so fruitful yet. So I still got my fingers crossed on that and working through that process.
Yeah, I
But
got you.
oh, I already know it. I know it all day. But I can't complain. I don't feel any effects of any of this. I feel like my body's it feels like it's in the best, as far as how my energy is, that it's ever been, considering I lost a total of 170 pounds and it was by choice. It was, me pushing myself and trying to deal with all the anxiety and the mental things that came with inheriting this disease. And I started to turn to just working out, and that was kind of my outlet. And I didn't come from that, being from a Black family that love eating good food, cooking good food, all of that, right? So that's kind of where I have turned my focus to just kind of lean more into the health conscious side of things, and of course trying to prepare my children, who are now, of course, impacted. And I just found out that my children also are immune compromised because I've been doing the DNA workups and seeing how my genetics may play a part in their future as well. But overall, all good. But again, like I said, I'm just trying to train them early so that they can again be prepared for, hopefully nothing to come,
Right.
in the future.
Right.
That's what we gonna call it. But at least they're mentally in the space. And again, that's why I said I appreciate being here because this is
Mm,
Right.
Good
And so
time,
you know,
Mama.
right.
Take your
God
All
is
time.
right.
Take your time.
take your time.
We
Yeah.
here for you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
this is just another way, for me to leave a video legacy for my
Yes.
children to always be able to come back to and hear my voice.
Don't worry, it'll be on
Yes.
YouTube, so they go up there and look at it.
You know what I mean? Because I'm terrible with taking pictures and making
But you're
videos and
beautiful,
Facebook
you
it.
know.
But I'm
You're
horrible
all
about
beautiful.
that.
Ah,
So I
it's,
appreciate y'all.
it's
Again,
just
this
that
is the
black
name.
women, we don't like to compliment each other. We have to
No,
start.
Yeah.
I appreciate
They're
it. I
all
appreciate being
beautiful.
invited to join in on
I
this and for
appreciate you
them
accepting it.
for them to be able to hear my story because I think as Black people we don't ever really know our mother's stories, and even when
Yes.
we do know it, we hear it in so many how do I say compartmentalized parts of our life where it's almost like I remember watching The Color Purple as a kid, and then I watched it as a grown person. And I was like, what the hell was I doing watching this as a kid? I shouldn't have watched it, because there's so many different parts of that show. I'm like, I don't see it like, girls, what is this going on? But you don't process information the same. And
Right.
so even though my children are actively right here present, what they learn today and what they see and hear tomorrow from this exact same story will always be able to provide them a gift and with information that they didn't even think was already right there present and readily available to them in this conversation that I can
Yes.
never prepare them for. So I appreciate y'all for
Right.
having me here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We didn't meet Zakira. She's an oldie but a newbie to you guys. But Zakira, you want to say hi?
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I'm late too. I'm just getting off work and I'm cooking, so I'm like back and forth.
That is
I'm just
Zakira.
tired.
You could tell them briefly about you. You want,
Mm,
if you want to.
Okay. Well, my name is Zakira. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I know TV, you just say you're from Florida, so I'm excited. I currently have stage 4 breast cancer actually, and mine is estrogen positive. I found out at the end of 2022, a week before my birthday, that I had it. And since then, I've just been, just kind of, I originally was just going through the motions. That was from the last conversation that we had, just not really taking charge of what was going on because I'm pretty much down here by myself. And so I just kind of just was listening to the doctors wanted me to do, but I don't know, I started getting angry because I started asking more questions and starting getting a lot of attitude from my oncologist, and I'm a very unproblematic person. So if I have to turn up, it's a reason. And I felt like, I told my last oncologist, I told her, if you don't care about my life in the way that I do, like, I no longer want to see you. And so it's just been a journey. I'm actually seeing my third oncologist um tomorrow. I've gone through 2 oncologists so far, and it has not been really good experiences. At which was University of Miami, the Cancer Research Center. So now I'm at the Cleveland Clinic, just trying to see if this is a good fit for me, a different plan that she's going to put me on, if this is going to work better than the other one. So just fingers crossed that I can share a success story.
We're gonna pray.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most
Okay,
definitely.
now we have Nicole. Nicole, she's my friend, and she's been dealing with cancer and being a caregiver. So now she could tell you her background of why she's on here. And I asked her to come on here because I had a question, and my question was, how many of everybody has got their had donated their cells to be researched? You never thought about it, right? But when
No.
I went, they asked me. They were like, do you want do you want to donate your cells so we can research them? And I said, if it's gonna help somebody, yes. So that's why I did it. But my thing was, Zainab and I were talking, and we wanted to know how many of the ladies on here have donated their cells to be researched. It's
Can
really important.
Can I ask? I just want to
Okay,
ask
so
one
now,
question.
Nicole, I want you to introduce yourself and
Okay,
tell us a
okay.
little bit about you.
All right. My name is Nicole. I am Princess's friend. I've known her about 5 years now. And my backstory is that my mother had cancer, my father had cancer, my sister had cancer, my brother had cancer. So before I, so when it comes to cancer, and I've been the caretaker for all of them. And dealt with it. And like I told you guys, I worked 17 years in medicine. I started as a phlebotomist and worked my way up to medical research. And so my question, I'm so proud of all of you ladies. You have no idea. I am so proud of you. But what I will ask you is a few things. Like I want to cry because it's like I want you to take care of your health. And when I say that, it's in the foods that you eat, it's in the things that you do, because no one's going to care for you more than you. I'm the young lady that just came on. I'm so proud of her that she has actually searching for someone who actually really cares about you. You know, because I just wrote it down. It's like take charge of your health, advocate for yourself, get yourself a social worker. In when it comes to cancer amongst women of color or even men of color, they don't do the work the way they're supposed to. Like they were supposed to ask you if you wanted to do genetic testing from the jump. When my sister got cancer, she was 41. She had breast cancer and she has the BRCA gene. I've had I've had my breast mammogram since I was 35 because I knew that it ran in my family. However, for me, I'm negative, right? But I still have to be mindful of all the other cancers. So I have to be mindful of colon cancer and my esophagus, all those other ones. When you go through certain things, like my sister just had a hysterectomy. I asked her, the GYN was like, oh, we'll do partial. I was like, I'd prefer if she didn't do the partial, only because at the same time, when you still leave those cells, if your cancer is hormonal, still run the chance of having cancer again. And although they give you the story of, well, it puts you into menopause, take the menopause, ladies. Trust me when I tell you. I know, no, you hear about hot flashes and all that. That's it. That's the least of your issues. Okay. I'm serious. It's the least of your issues. Because to have a partial and then to have to then, if the cancer does come back, that's a whole nother ball game you have to play with. And you don't want that experience. Trust me when I tell you.
I'm going
So
through that treatment right now too, the hormonal one that you were
yeah.
just saying.
And my sister's is a hormonal. So she had to be, and so was my brother's. My brother had colon cancer. And well, for my brother, I was talking about it. He basically neglected his health, right? And so he was eating things that he was supposed to. He was an avid Coca-Cola drinker. So it was a whole lot of stuff. And as much as I tried to tell him, you need to watch your diet, you need to be mindful. He, they do what they want to do. So he developed colon cancer and it just went all downhill. I lost him in February. My mom had pancreatic sarcoma. So most of the cancers that are running my family are hormonal. So for me, I have to be very careful, right? I'm 55. I'm already in menopause, Amen, hallelujah. But anyway, like, I'm sorry.
So when
Like,
you hear me, when you when you hear someone like me say that they said my ovaries, I should just remove my ovaries. I was thinking get the whole hysterectomy because my percentage was so high.
yes. What is your doctor saying? What, she just wants to do the ovaries?
No, she suggested the whole hysterectomy.
Yeah. It's just to keep you healthy, because truly and honestly, I believe that you're going to live a long time.
for you not to have to go through any more, chemo and radiation and all those things, they damage a lot. They're
Right.
trying to keep you and help you, don't get me wrong, but they, at the same token, I know they still do damage, right? And for someone who is, you're immune suppressed, so am I, but I had brain surgery. It's a whole nother thing, but it's still, I'm in that place. So for me, the way that I try to keep my immune system up is I take Amy Roots, the vitamins, in order to do what I can. And then of course, you try to do like some juicing and stuff, and just do the basics, that the best that you can, because it's all trial and error, right? And
Right.
you want to at least try to keep yourself as healthy as possible. My little sister has had to change her whole diet just so that she can stay here. She's not a vegan or a vegetarian because she loves meat, but she definitely tries to do her best, and she doesn't like to exercise. So she does the best that she can. My brothers, like I told you, and my mom, her sarcoma, pancreatic sarcoma, really, it ate at her. She tried the chemo, but my mom also was 120 pounds. Like in my family, I'm the fattest, to say that. I mean, it's the truth. I'm the biggest. I'm 220, right? But everybody else was 100 pounds, and they didn't go past that. And it's funny because when my brother had cancer, I remember I told him, I said, Joe, I'm going to have to help you with some nutrients to kind of build some muscle on you, or build some fat. Because believe it or not, as much as they tell us that we don't need the fat, actually you need the fat to fight the cancer. Because when they start to give you the chemo, when they start to give you all those things, you're going to you need something to be able to absorb it. So, it's amazing how they don't tell you these things. And I would ask that you get a nutritionist, right? Get yourself a good nutritionist, somebody that you trust. Find yourself one. If you're not, I love that you are advocating for yourself. I don't remember your name. Please forgive me. I have terrible short.
Zakira, she's talking about you.
So please forgive me.
No, it's okay. Sorry, it's okay. You can say Z.
Okay, Z, but please get yourself a nutritionist, because if it's a good nutritionist, they will help you to make sure that you stay healthy while you're going through your chemo, or even while you are cancer free, to help you balance out. And depending on the reason for the cells test is also to see if it's how fast does your cells grow. Because one thing, when we went for the testing for cancer, I needed to know how fast, if it's hormonal, how fast is it growing? Because that gives you the rate of, he had surgery, and in 1 year, his cancer had grown to the size of a grapefruit, and he was on chemo. So that
Cancer divides every 160 days, I believe.
Yes.
That's
Yes, thank you. So it does. Some of them grow really fast, and some of them take time in their growth cells. So you need to know, you need to have that understanding also. Can I add in something that I should have mentioned? Before I felt my lump, my nipple was indented. I remember for months keep pulling my nipple out. Every time I got dressed, I'm like, why is my nipple? And just not knowledgeable of this thing, I didn't even think of anything of why it kept indenting. Of course, I know now, no matter if you see anything different on your breast, go get it checked. Because that's where my cancer was at. It was pulling the nipple, and I was steady pulling it out. It was steady pulling it in. So, whoever's listening to this, if you're a woman and you see anything different in your breast, anything, a rash, a bump, anything, be safe to get checked.
This is true for men and women.
Yes.
Yep.
And I like how Z is advocating, how you advocating for yourself and changing your provider. That's like I stated when I was telling my story, my OBGYN that I had since I had moved to Houston actually retired. But before she retired, she joined a practice. So I, felt like, okay, well, let me try out one of the, providers there, before I just jump and go to somewhere else. And I literally, before I went to my annual exam in January of 2021, my significant other was telling me that he tasted liquid coming out of my breast. And I was way past having kids or milking or anything. And when I met the new provider, when I told her that, it was almost like she shunned me off. She did a regular exam. She was like, well, I don't see nothing. I don't feel nothing. It's nothing there. And I'm like, okay, well, I know that I need, to see about this fibroid that I had been having for years. And I only knew it was one. And she did the exam. She was like, it's nothing wrong. Everything is good. And I'm just like, okay. And I just felt like she just, just
Kind of like
pushed
brush
me
you
off.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she just pushed me off. She did the exam. She told me to go get my mammogram. Like I said, my mammogram said it was clear. But now that I look back, that was January 2021. I found my lump around September or October of 21. So I probably had breast cancer in January. But because I was pushed off and shunned and ain't nothing there, that's where it was probably was there on the mammogram, but she just looked at it and just put it to the side because of course I had dense breasts. But my primary care provider, when I told him that I felt like I needed a new provider, he immediately gave me another provider. And when I went to my new OBGYN, literally before I left her office that day, because I was going in to ask her about the spotting and having the symptoms of perimenopause, which they told me I didn't have that either. And she said, we're going to do a ultrasound. We're going to check on everything before you leave today. And I said, okay. She brought me in the office. She said, I don't know why they didn't tell you this. She said, but you don't have just one fibroid. You have three. The one that you probably was thinking about, she said that one has
Wow.
grown and you have a polyp. And she was like, I don't know why they bypassed that. She said, but all of this, she said, this is where your spotting been coming from. This is where some of the things that's been going on with you. Not knowing I had a tumor, growing it because I don't do breast exams. I wasn't even thinking about that and literally just putting on a bra. That's when I found my lump. And that's when I told her it wasn't a shunt off. She checked it and she said, you're gonna get another mammogram before the end of the year. I said the end of the year is next week. She said, I know that. She said, but you're gonna get you another one before the end of this year. And I said, okay. And that's the type of provider that you want that is is as concerned as you are about your health.
Yeah.
So
And
I applaud you
Yeah.
for changing your provider till you get the one that actually is just as concerned as you.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like being from Maryland, like I never had any mistrust in the medical system. I always had like Black doctors. My parents growing up in the nation, I feel like we always like kind of like relied on our network of people. So I had that trust going in every appointment. And when I realized, I'm like, I felt like things were wrong, and I just kind of felt like I was just asked to stay silent, and I was just kind of just like, like I would ask questions, and my oncologist, my first one, she was texting during my appointment. She put her hand up at me like this when I wanted to ask questions. She had an attitude with me when I asked anything, just the microaggressions. And I just noticed that's a common theme in Florida, like, which is why I'm probably about to leave because I just feel like it was just like, for me, like on colleges I've gone to, it's these microaggressions, it's this attitude, just for you wanting to know more things about your diagnosis and things going on with you. It was just such a problem for me, to the point where like I started to bring people to my appointment. I'm like,
Yes.
you know, because I was tired of feeling crazy. I'm like, am I crazy, or is it like, you know, this person, kind of talking to me in a way where it's like, like I'm not a patient, and I'm not like I told you, I'm not a problematic person, but it was just the fact that I was young, I was there alone.
For you, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. That's
And
why.
like
That's
literally
definitely
there by
one of the reasons.
myself. My family's all in Baltimore. I have one aunt here and like maybe two cousins. But for the most part, like I did a lot of stuff alone until I started bringing like friends to my appointments. And I don't know, it like kind of what you said, like I just started to feel like angry because I'm like, I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like, I was doing research about Black women being diagnosed late, and it's, we're 41%. What was that? It's a Black women are 41% in having late diagnosis, just for what you said, like women that have issues and they talk about it, then it's like, no, nothing's wrong with you, nothing's wrong with you. And then now they diagnose them at later stages, and it's harder for them to fight for their lives. I had a friend who had fibroids, it's the same thing, so I don't know. Like I definitely agree with you in that story, because that's just kind of how I felt. And then also like the show I've been watching recently. I don't know if you guys watch Homecoming. That girl on the show, kind of like they're starting to talk about it more, which I like. It's starting to now be an issue that's not like kind of like a hush hush anymore. It's now people are starting to understand like the disparities that we experience in the healthcare system as Black women. Kyla Pratt spoke about it during her birth, how the doctors kind of just ignored her when she was trying to have kids, and the pain she was experiencing. And that's what they do to us. Like, I just kind of feel like we don't matter. And like I was telling Zanab, I feel like stuff like this is really important to talk about it, because now I'm even listening and, taking notes on things I should do when I get off the phone. Don't have to
Sorry
Sorry,
to hear.
sorry to interrupt you. TV, you have a question? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I did. I just
Raise
wanted
a
to
hand.
say, yeah, oh, my bad. But
My bad, girl.
something, just listening to Zakira, I have a girlfriend who's also stage 4 right now as well. And I don't know if you're familiar, but there's a test that you can take that actually will inform you of what medication works for your treatment. It's a fairly new test. I'll be glad to share it with you. I ain't want to move my
You can
screen
put
around
it
and
in
lose
the
No,
y'all.
I'm gonna say you can put in the chat
you
because
put
I'm
it in the
writing it
chat.
all
Okay,
down.
yeah, I'll do that. And it'll
'Cause-
pretty much kind of let you know what chemotherapy works for you in your stage. And I don't know if any of you ladies are doing something that's called a Signatera test. And you actually can take that as well, Zakira, because the Signatera test, although you would technically come up positive, it tells you on the spectrum how much cancer is positive. And like how many cells are active in your body.
Where
And
can
I
you
know for
take
me,
this?
No, she's
huh?
gonna put it in the chat. Put it
Yeah,
on the chat.
I'll put it in here
And
for
go
you.
ahead, Zakira, ask them for the changing of the numbers.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say put your number in there. I was gonna say
Because
I just want to know where to
we have a
take it,
group. We
because
have
I
a
take
group
all
on
suggestions to literally my doctor. I'll be like
yeah,
this.
we have a group that we have on the phone and we chat that way too. So you put your
I
number
would
in there,
suggest
I'll
that.
put my number in there, and
Yes.
Nicole, you can put your number as well.
I will. I will.
Thank you.
Definitely. But I had the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
experience here too, Z. Just to let you know, with
Yes,
my physician,
Zainab.
she won't allow me to take my physician, my oncologist does not allow me to take the Signatera test because she feels like emotionally it's going to drain me. And I'm like, that's not your call to make. Just let me take the test. So I got two oncologists that I use at one time. And
Mhm.
he is pissed because I won't fully commit to him and I only use him for the Signatera test. And she doesn't want me to take the Signatera test. But I just ignore them both and do what I want to do. My insurance paying, y'all not gonna turn me away. We'll
Yeah.
have the same conversation over and over again with y'all suggesting what I should do because they feel like it'll be too many cooks in the kitchen. But as long as you doing what I need you to do over here and you doing what I need you to do over here, because the two of you won't decide to work together, that's not a problem. to me. And that's the approach that I look at it. And I kind of ignore what they talk about and just kind of push through it, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you all are telling me I was stage 3B and it's so aggressive, why wouldn't I want to be prepared every step of the way, opposed to waiting for a 6-month exam to dictate how far off in the negative or in the worst that I am? So I would definitely suggest it to any of you all. If you're taking it, it's every 90 days. It is, it can be mentally taxing on people who aren't prepared. But I just feel like, considering that Black women have such a greater risk when it comes to cancer that's involved, I feel like it's so much more of a way to kind of have another pair of eyes watching you.
And Black women are more prone to get that triple negative breast cancer too.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely supposed to work together, because we take a Hippocratic oath to help you, supposedly to help you so that we can help you to heal, help you to live. That's the whole reason why we take this oath, is so that I can help you so that you can live longer.
Yeah.
However, like I said, when it comes to women of color or men of color, they're not as upfront about a lot of things. And so you need to, speak up for yourself. I'm glad that you take somebody with you, sweetheart. I agree. That is something that you should, like, with my sister, my brother, and my mother, we were all there. You should always have a second pair of ears, because it helps. Because sometimes it's a shock to your system. You don't know what to expect, and you want someone else to hear what this doctor is saying. Because we changed doctors when it came to my brother, because I knew the hospital. It was a little easier. And one of the doctors, I had to tell him, we're not doing that, because I know what that does, and that's not going to help him. And I know it's not. Sometimes, especially if you're in a teaching hospital, they want to do things. They want to use, I'm gonna be honest, they want to use this at times as research, right? And there are times that no, at this point, this was his second time with cancer. We're not using him as research. This is not what we're doing. We're going to try to make his life, give him quality of life for as long as possible.
That's part of my story. Like I'm so not aware of anything that was going on with me when they got to start talking they doctor talk, and those words and everything. It was so foreign to me. So I did, every time I went to any appointment, I always had somebody with me, and they always was an RN, they was a nurse, it was a nurse practitioner, because I have built relationships with a lot of so I have some nurses in my family, but I also built a lot of relationships with the women at my at the hospital I work at, because once I went to those meetings, if they wasn't there, I would probably be lost. And then they're breaking it down. They're asking questions that I didn't know how to. And as I sit here and I listen to Tamika, I listen to Zanaya. I'm sorry if I'm Zakira.
Z.
It like it brings tears to my eyes, because I look at my journey, and I didn't have I had every I don't know, everybody I came in contact with, everybody. It was just of course nobody wants to go through it, but if somebody put a gun to my head and made me go through it again, I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change none of the people that I was encountered with. I don't know. My heart goes out to you guys, because you are experiencing some of the things that I've read about when it comes to Black women in dealing with breast cancer. If you don't have the right oncologist, if you don't have the right surgeon, or people who just brushing you off, and I don't know. I'm really filled. I'm filled with all type of emotions as everybody is speaking, because I I didn't have a hard journey, and it made me feel bad saying it, but I didn't, and I don't know why it chose to not have me go through some of the things that most people probably go through when they hear that. So I don't know, at 33, you just, touch my heart because I feel like I'm I'm more like you as far as I don't know how to speak up. I would have just let them tell me whatever it is they wanted to tell me, and to see you take it upon yourself at such a young age to say no, something is not right. And now you shopping for different oncologists like a wedding dress into somebody with you. You find the right one. So my hat goes off to you as a young lady.
Yeah,
you
Zakira
made
is Zakira is a
Zakira made
soldier.
me cry as well. Trust me. But I went through
Francis,
mine by myself too. I
Francis,
didn't have
can I
anybody
get in
be.
for a second because this is a lot for me to take in, and I'm going through my little headache spell, but I'm trying to remember everything and try to circle back around. Chanel, you are a soldier. You got me, and now you have us. Chanel was this girl that used to run around behind me as a kid.
Oh, you didn't
But
explain. I
yeah,
just wanted to guess the
Aw.
one
she's just
that
a
you
couple
knew
years
as a
younger than
little
me,
girl.
but yeah, we're from the same city. You got me, girl, all of y'all. But back to our guest. To add to what she had to say about watching what we eat, I would also like to say we have to be mindful of the things that we use on our body, cleaning products, and those sort of things, because these chemicals all have uh, things
Carcinogens are in
that
them.
yeah that can bring about cancer.
Yeah.
In regards to the testing, if anyone have not had a genetic testing, let me know. I can get that done for you for free. Also, if you're not there yet to do breast cancer trials for Black women, you can contribute by giving your breast cancer tissue. And that's just as easy as signing a consent form, putting your doctor's name, putting the hospital, and they will submit it and they will send it to them. I donated my breast cancer tissue to Morehouse School of Medicine, so I'm kind of like the plug for them. But anybody who wants to contribute to that, let me know. What else did I want to say? Oh, those talking about the ovaries. So I had my first fibroid ever in my life. I was 49 years old, and my doctor told me I was having pain like on my left side, and he said that it was pressing up against my left ovary, which was causing me excruciating pain. That pain took me to the decision of removing both my ovaries. I had a hysterectomy and oophorectomy. So I had both my ovaries removed, my fallopian tubes, uterus, and cervix. My kids are grown. They're what, 35 and 34. So I was done with kids. So I had everything removed. I was later diagnosed with breast cancer, maybe 3 months later. I had told my my gynecologist about this peanut-sized lump I felt in my right breast, and he said, "Well, let's just wait. Nothing is going to change after we get past your hysterectomy and oophorectomy. I'll get you referred to get that done." So I got that done, and right where I felt it is exactly where my breast cancer was. I didn't know until later that there was a direct connection between the two. My breast cancer was estrogen receptor positive, which means that, it fed off of estrogen. So luckily I had already had that done. Most women get theirs done after they go through breast cancer. So if you're done having kids or whatever, I wouldn't get like half of it done. If they're going to open me up, I told them to take everything. If you're done, you do not want to go through those problems. But the thing with that is having a suppression of estrogen like I have from my what's the pill we're on? Letrozole. I'm on letrozole, so that suppresses my estrogen. Plus, I don't have any ovaries, so I have really low estrogen, which bring about a lot of other problems. Right now, I'm going through something called clitoral atrophy, and if you don't know what that means, that means
I
that
know
it
what it
can.
is.
Okay, for those of you who don't, it can shrink your clitoris to a baby's, and
Yeah.
you can lose feeling. So I'm now making an appointment to see my gynecologist to see if there's any safe vaginal estrogen that can, help me boost the estrogen down here so I don't have to go that, because they say if you don't use it, you'll lose it. But I haven't lost my sex drive or anything like that, but that's one of the things you might want to consider when you're removing your ovaries. As far as advocating for myself, I always went into the doctors with a notepad. You know me, I did extensive research during my journey in writing my book. And during the course of that, I learned so much stuff. And for those of you who don't have my book, it's everything in there that you'll ever need. I really wish I had this book when I was going through breast cancer. It's everything you'll ever need. Those of you who have it, y'all know already. But um, go in there, even if you don't have anyone to go with you, you know, do your research before going in. Research those symptoms. You know, everybody say you can't rely on Dr. Google, but there's some good information out there. But if you're unsure of it, write it down and at least ask your doctor. And they have to explain this to you. You know, a few times, you know, my doctor was like, well, I don't know. I'm not, you know, sure of that, you know, so you have to go ahead and research yourself. But I had two other doctors that I always got my second and third opinions from before I made any decision. So that truly matters, getting a second and even a third opinion. I think that's all I wanted to cover, but yeah.
Also, that take that pill too.
Letrozole?
Yeah, I have a meeting with my oncologist next week. To start to go into taking that pill. So once you said it, I just had remembered. And that came about. I did miss my appointment after my chemo treatments. I had an appointment scheduled with her, and I actually missed it. And then I just had radiation. Like I said, I did 25 sessions of radiation, and I talked to my radi I can't even, the lady for the radiation, my doctor for my radiation, and she called my oncologist because she said she don't know why she haven't scheduled you appointment to start taking your there should be a pill. Is it something like I gotta take for 5 years? I'm not sure. I get the information next week. She was like, I don't see no appointment for that. I don't see that you even went there. So they called today to reschedule me to go back in and see my oncologist so that I can start taking it.
Yeah, I started taking mine, I think, a month after radiation.
And I was done with radiation in July.
Well, you have to stay on their case about it. Don't let them slip up and you know mess around and you know have a recurrence. So you definitely need it. But something else to add to that, this letrozole pill. So it's something else that I've been experiencing, and through my research, I read that this medication it causes bone loss. It can cause dental issues. Recently, Francis know because we laugh about it. I just recently lost a whole filling in the back of my mouth, and I was like, "Wait a minute! I hope this is not messing with my teeth." So a whole filling fell out, but I did think, well, maybe because this filling is 40 years old, that's why it fell out. But you know, these mercury fillings they say are no good for us. But the American Dental Association they don't have no correlation between the two. But I am thinking to also have my other 3 silver fillings that I've had since I was a little girl, have those removed because, you know, people are talking more about that, this mercury and cancer. Have anybody else heard about that?
I actually have heard that the association from root canals as well
Yeah.
as the fillings are linked to breast cancer specifically.
Yeah. So
Wow.
you just got to do your research and everything, or you got to buy my book. You know, it tells you all of that.
Okay.
And to piggyback I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I know it's almost time, but you have
Okay.
something to say, Tamika? Go ahead and say it.
Oh, to piggyback on the genetic testing. So a lot of times, even with the genetic testing, I took genetic testing, and literally that was the first thing my surgical oncologist gave me before we even had any type of discussion. And but it came back negative, and no one, as we know of, in our family on my father or mother's side has had breast cancer. But I was at a conference, kind of like a fitness conference for Survive Her, and she had a genetic tester there. And she was doing the PowerPoint, and she was talking, and then she started talking about prostate cancer, cervical cancer, and histories of that. And then I thought about it and I said, wait a minute, is that my link to my breast cancer? So I pulled her to the side before she left. And I said, did I hear you correctly say that prostate and cervical can be linked to breast cancer? And she said, yes. And she said, why you asked? I said, well, my grandfather on my mother's side and his brother had prostate cancer. And she said, that's your link to your breast cancer. And I said, but my genetic testing came back negative. She said, but still, that's your link to your breast cancer. Because of the type of breast cancer that I had, which is triple negative, it has both the BRCA gene 1 and 2 as the genes. And the gene from prostate cancer is one of the genes through triple negative. So a lot of times the genetic testing will come back negative, but that doesn't mean that it's not somewhere in your family. Because, like I told someone else, we know of our immediate family history, you know, on the surface, but you don't know what was going on back in the slavery days. You don't know so you don't know how far back your medical history may go. And that the genetic testing does help. We should get it, but just because it says negative does not mean you don't have a gene in your family that is connected to your cancer.
And
Right.
go ahead.
Fran, before you cut us off, so I was offered the genetic testing in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I did it maybe like 2 weeks before my surgery and it came back negative. So I was like, my mother and my grandmother both have breast cancer. They both have passed on. And so I was like, wait a minute, it's negative. So I took another one. This is when I took it with Morehouse School of Medicine. I did the test and that one came back negative. So when I asked to speak to the counselor, she told me that I have what they call familial genes. So that means that breast cancer, it run in our family. We don't carry the BRCA gene, but it played a minor role in me getting breast cancers. They said that my breast cancer was most likely either environmental, maybe the diet or something like that, which I've had a good diet, my BMI, anything, all those risks can bring about these things. They say we all have it in our body, but it's just, the things that we ingest or put on our skin, you know what I'm saying, to trigger it and bring it off. I don't know. I didn't research that. I don't know. But like I said, I did take 2 tests. Both of them were negative, but there is a thing called familial genes. So like you said, Tamika, it may go back even further than what it showed on your test.
And what's
Mm-hmm.
weird is that you all are telling me about a positive or a negative, and I'm sorry, Francis. I took the genetic testing and it didn't give me a positive or a negative. It linked multiple genes in my DNA. And my sibling ended up with a cousin DNA strand to BRCA that is highly susceptible to uterine cancer, but is not on the record yet to be linked to breast cancer. But we all clearly know that if you have uterine cancer, you can easily, like, that's almost common
Yes.
sense now.
Yes.
And right after I had my genetic testing, they actually had found 15 new genes that link to breast cancer. So
Wow.
I would, definitely suggest to y'all inquire about, and I will get the name of the test, and it will literally break down your DNA for you, your cousins, your family, all of that on your maternal as well as fraternal side of things. And they'll of course ask you questions. But I've never heard of a negative or a positive, and I would love to get that information from y'all about that, because I never heard about it from that standpoint. It was always literally like BRCA1, BRCA2. My sister has something called PNLB. I have another friend that's got another strand, and they are all feeding back to breast cancer.
How's your sister doing?
My sister actually just got tested. They found hers luckily at 0, but believe it or not, they found hers at 0, and now she went to the hospital. She's actually going through what do you call it? Radiation right now. While she was going through radiation, this is all within the last week, she started having stomach pains. And now they already found tumors wrapped around her intestines. And again, the DNA that they found said that she was more susceptible to a uterine type of cancer, which is linked more to Asian people than it is more to Black people. So, and then they try to tell her it was no correlation to breast cancer. That's what they try to tell her. But if you look it up, it literally says it
It
increases
is.
the chance of breast cancer.
All right, ladies, I'm gonna have to end this. We can
I'm sorry.
continue.
Thank you, Miss Francis.
And,
But she
Oh,
don't say so, y'all.
Francis, no.
we can continue the 15th of the month in December. Chanel, I can explain to you why you're taking that letrozole too. You
Okay.
had your ovaries removed, right?
Not
And,
yet. I haven't
and
had
you didn't get them removed yet?
No.
Once
no.
they do that hysterectomy, they give you that because now you'll be in menopause. That's why they're gonna give you that
I take
letrozole.
letrozole too to turn off my ovaries, Chanel, because they claim that letrozole, which is funny that they don't have you on a pill yet, because the letrozole is supposed to help AI meds work better when you still have your ovaries. So I think
But
that's
wait,
crazy they don't have you on a pill yet.
Because I took
I had another
letrozole,
question.
but it didn't make me feel good. So I take something called esomeprazole, but I'm postmenopausal. That's why they gave me the
That's what I take.
letrozole.
That's what I take. The
Oh, the
letrozole and esomeprazole is supposed to work together for women who still have their ovaries. It's supposed to make it work better.
Well, see, I feel better with the esomeprazole than I did with that letrozole. That letrozole was like, so they gave me another medicine because I was being depressed. So I have two. So
Yep.
that's why I take it. But I know it's for postmenopausal women. If you're in menopause, if you're premenopausal, they'll give you tamoxifen.
Oh,
No, not
Drugs.
for. That's so crazy because they took me off because it deteriorates, like Zanab was saying, it deteriorates our bone health quicker than
Well,
the
I also had Zometa. It was an infusion.
That's what
You
I
Yep.
have it
take.
too, right?
I
You
have
have to
I
take
that.
that for 2 years.
don't have it
Oh,
yet. I just did
that's
a
a
baseline
2-year
check.
thing.
The
Yeah.
shot,
go.
the Lupron shot, and then Zometa was what was it? The drip.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you don't
Yeah,
get
that's what I do.
osteoporosis. That's what that's for.
I
And
do
you
Okay.
can't
that.
have dental work with it either.
Yeah,
Mhm.
apparently like it messes up your teeth. I
No,
was
it's
doing it
not your
once a
teeth is
month
messing up, it's your bones and your jaws.
in your jaw.
Exactly.
Because
I
I
was
had
doing
to
it
get
once
the
a month.
tooth
She stopped
pulled.
me.
And I never had a tooth pulled where they came and yanked it out. That one it got yanked out because of that. So
Wow.
Fran,
anyway.
wait, Fran, before you leave, I just want to add one more thing. So, recently I had asked my doctor this and she could not answer the question. Now we know that even losing our ovaries and taking this, uh, uh, aromatase inhibitor that is supposed to suppress our estrogen. So I asked my doctor, I said, so estrogen doesn't cause cancer. Why am I really taking this medicine? Does it cause recurrence? Because if it don't cause cancer, how does it cause recurrence? He could not answer it. So I'm researching that right now. If it does not cause cancer, how is it causing recurrence? And is this something else for y'all to have us paying this money for this medication?
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Because
sense to
believe it or
anybody.
not, I take what is it? Okay, melatonin. Melatonin. I take 200 milligrams of melatonin every day. Okay, but I'm really into the naturopathic side of preferences, but I still deal with the Western world. We got to be in reality. I got other folks who
It's
depending on
good
me.
to do both
It
holistic
is, and
and
that's why I
Yeah.
do them both.
medical.
So a lot of white women I know will take almost like 1,000 milligrams of melatonin
Melatonin.
replace of the excestamines in the any of the AI inhibitors because it doesn't have any side effects and it slows down the growth of cells, cancerous cells, in a way apparently that excestamine and all these other AI drugs are supposed to do. So I do them both.
I would ask your doctor, Zainab, like exactly, or you can look it up, like what exactly that drug that you're taking, what does it do to you? Because truly and honestly, if it's not like, what is the reason, truly, like what the reason is? Because a lot of times you almost have to pin them up against a wall just to get them to tell you the truth. And I'm loving everything, and I'm gonna get your book, Zainab, because I'm gonna buy it for my sister and for myself just for knowledge, because you really do have to pin them up against the wall. Like, why are you giving me this? Because if it's gonna do more harm to me, then why am I taking it? When
Right.
you take something now, and I love natural drugs, so don't get me wrong, but you have to do the both. So I agree. So, but if you can take something that's natural that can help you, that will still do the same thing, I would find that drug and do that best. Because at the same time, you want to keep your insides healthy, right? Because you've done already the chemo, you've done the radiation, you've done all the things that really can destroy and break down the body. So why take something that you have no clue why you're taking? It's like,
Mhm.
it's like when you do blind studies and you don't know if you're getting a sugar pill or the actual drug. So
Mhm.
that's what that is. That's how we used to do it. We give someone not a sugar
Yep.
pill,
Yes,
and
you
we
know.
give someone the actual drug so that we can see how it's working. So if they're
Mhm.
trying to do that with you, I would refute that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. I don't know if any of you all have heard what's her name? This chemo in this short term memory brain be crazy.
Mhm.
The lady from Yo MTV Raps,
Yes,
Ananda.
Ananda
Ananda,
Lewis,
Ananda
who has
Lewis.
been
Yeah.
ultimately doing this very natural, holistic in a sense, and utilizing Western medicine just to monitor her.
Mhm.
Between her and this white lady, and I got to remember her name too. The white lady. So people always say, "Hey, I've exhausted this line of treatment, that line of treatment, the next line." You know what I mean? Like there's only so many paths that we can go on, right?
Mhm.
I think when we think about all of the things that traumatically happen to our bodies, such as chemo, the surgery, the radiation, and all those things, and the ramifications that come along with it, I thought it was very interesting that this white woman that I'm referring to, she was suggested to go on acetylcholine before doing any of those.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And she has been stage 2 for 4 years and has stayed in that same space. And not because when you think about cancer, it's on the spectrum. It can be
Mhm.
high, it can be low. You can live with it your whole life. We all have those cells in our body. And
Mhm.
her doctor suggested that she go through her first, just stick with the first line of treatment. Don't get it. It was granted, it was of course because she didn't have like a grade 3,
Mhm.
but the fact that it suggests that to me, I think that Black women are butchered
Mhm.
in this space. You know what I mean? Like we are literally butchered, and we always told that it has to be an aggressive approach. And to see
Mhm.
this woman on this panel who is still on her first line of treatment, never had chemo, never had radiation, and is only on accestamine, I was just mind blown. And now I'm with you, Zainab, when I think about it from I just look at it, I think about it in reverse from what you're saying by looking at hers and seeing that her management of her care has been able to be allowing her to have a quality of life a lot longer and use all of her lines of treatment as needed opposed to exhausting them. Because in my mind, I'm now looking at this from that perspective and seeing how our bodies become immune to these drugs very quickly because of how they're introduced. And now we stuck with one left, you know what I mean? One line of treatment left. Like Mrs. Zakira is going to have to figure out what is going to keep this from going all over her body, considering she
Mhm.
had treatment at a stage 2, and
Mhm.
that wasn't the right path for her. So I would love to hear what you do find in that, you know what I mean, in that research that you're looking at, Zainab, in regards to what one,
Right.
like you said, why am I
Yeah.
doing this? And what is the alternative? Because when you look at Taxol and all of those other drugs, those are all derived from a plant.
Right.
Those all come from a plant. I don't know if any of y'all, you all had to go on Benadryl so that you didn't have an allergic reaction because 1 in 3 people
Mhm.
have an allergic reaction to this plant.
Mhm.
So there's got to be a natural form to majority of these drugs that does not cost us in the same way that we paying by having bone loss, neutropenia, teeth falling out your mouth, all this other crazy stuff. You know what I mean? That's going on in your life just to live.
Right.
That's it.
Mhm.
This was a good one
That,
today.
yes, that was a very good one, and I thank everybody for being here. And we'll
Yes.
come back, the second Thursday of each month and
Okay.
do these continuation talks, if you don't mind,
Mhm.
because we're
I
all
love
learning something from each other, and I
Yeah.
think it's good.
I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie, y'all. I was nervous. I
Yeah, she
got
told
to.
me that.
I am. And it's not. It wasn't about what you think. I just really do.
Yeah.
Because you find out this is a club that you really didn't want to sign up for. You know what
Right.
I mean? But you almost can't live without it because people who haven't been touched by
Yeah.
God's hand with this particular type of issue, they can't relate.
Right.
But it's not a club. It was just a group of women, that I needed to get together because every stage is if for me, I'm triple positive, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not negative,
Mm-hmm.
but mine can be aggressive as well.
Yes.
So is it, and then it was mind-boggling because I kept asking my GYN, what is the correlation between that dense breast and breast?
Yes. Yeah.
Why? Because I always had this dense breast. I'm like, I don't even have nothing. But
Mhm.
apparently it was something hiding behind there that I didn't find out until I was 60 years old that I had breast cancer. And I went for a mammogram since the age of 40. So for 20 years, I've had dense breasts, but didn't know what was going on.
But it's
Me too.
density, it's the density of your tissue. And
Yeah.
that's really what it is. It's the
And
density of
Nicole,
your
you know me, I don't have nothing. I'm like,
Yeah, but it doesn't.
where's
My mom had nothing neither, but it's the, I have dense breasts. And for every time I've been, like I said, I have had mammograms since the age of 35. And I have to have a mammogram and a sonogram. They have to be the
See,
two.
but that's what they didn't do, the sonogram. And then when I recently went to the GYN, she told me a story about a 25-year-old who was diagnosed with stage 4,
Mhm.
and they refused to give her that mammogram, and she didn't get it. She found that she was stage 4 when they told her. So apparently she's still around. So, but
I mean,
You know,
I would have sued them because this is my whole thing. And I love you ladies. I'm actually gonna ask one of my best friends. Her sister had a double mastectomy also, and the she didn't want to. My sister had reconstructive surgery,
Mhm.
and my best friend's sister chose not to. So
Mhm.
but they did a beautiful job because that's another thing, especially with some of these reconstructive surgery doctors, they can, I don't
butcher
want
the
to say,
women up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
They
going to.
butcher them. Yeah.
I just, and but I want to bring her on because she is also such a beautiful woman, has been through this. And, again, it's like you have to speak up and you have to, I just because medicine is a science, period.
Mhm.
And you are the study with no matter who you are, black, white, China, I don't care. When you come to us, even if 70 people have the same thing, each person is still different. You are
Mhm.
still an individual and you need individual care. And your doctor needs to show you that they want to take care of you. And if they don't, then you
So
need,
find another one. Like
Mhm.
I did. I found a few of them.
I don't care
Right.
if you see 20 doctors, but
Mhm.
you need to fight for your health.
Right.
Yes.
Because they are here to supposedly keep you alive,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Not kill
God,
you.
God first, but they are here. They took that oath. They went to school, have $100,000 in loans to keep you alive. So you
Mhm.
need to, advocate for yourself. I tell, as I do my podcast a lot, Francis knows this. When it comes to women, I love you, but I need you to pay attention to you.
Your
Mhm.
body too.
I got a kid. Yes, I understand you. We have children, we have husbands, we have all of this, and we want to take care of everybody else. But guess what, ladies? If you're not here, ain't nobody else gonna be able to take care of them.
That's right.
And don't
You
nobody
need
love you like your kids. Love your kids
you
the way
know
you do.
you need to love you, and I know sometimes it's hard because of our backgrounds, wherever we've been, whether mother, father, whatever issues, but we're in a society where we need to pay attention to our bodies. We need to pay attention to what's happening to us, right? No matter what it is, mental health, because also before you guys leave, make sure also that you are seeing a therapist,
Mhm.
because as you go through this, although your husband may be good for you, your best friend may be great, but I want you to talk to someone who doesn't know you, to
Mhm.
give you that insight, to help you. And even with a therapist, make sure you find a good one too.
Mhm.
Exactly. That was my next thing. I'm in
Make
school to
sure
be a
you find a
therapist,
good
y'all.
one too.
Yeah,
I'm in
Okay.
that's
grad
a
school
job.
right now to be a therapist.
That's
Amen.
a whole job.
Hallelujah. You
Awesome,
go,
Kira.
girl.
Oh,
You
you gonna be a therapist, Sakira?
In 2026, I
And
graduate.
you gonna
you
hit
didn't
that
see
yeah.
her on our
deadline.
website, Francis?
Huh?
Francis,
What?
You didn't see Zakara? That's her title on our website.
Oh,
I'm providing counseling and I learned so much. I just came back from residency. So I want to start putting my like coaching services like in breast cancer groups so I can start like
oh,
not clinical coaching, but like really more so just like you were saying, like self-esteem, like, you know, like just manifestation, like keeping everything positive, that type of counseling.
Because
okay.
when my sister had her breast removed and everything and was going through reconstruction, I told her, make sure to grieve your breast.
Mhm.
Make
Yes.
sure to grieve that part of your body because it's difficult. You know, you went
That's
from
just an amputation. It's an
exactly.
amputation.
Right. And that you needed to grieve it. So that's why I say get yourself a good therapist so that you can talk this through because sometimes you need to talk it through. Because if you only talk it through in your mind, it's all it's going to do is make you even more, I hate to say the word, but loopy. You know, like you're not going to be able to withstand what you need to withstand.
I could say you need the therapist, whether you get the mastectomy, the lumpectomy.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
It's just a whole mind thing, and it's
Yeah.
a matter of disbelief.
And
Yes.
Most doctors will ask you if you need that because I
Yeah.
was always asked, do you want therapy? If they don't ask you it, you can ask them. It's
Yeah.
part of your treatment.
I never
Yeah.
had a problem where I went, they asked you for everything. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
me
they
too.
offered everything to me. So
And they now
financial
remember.
assistance. So I
Yeah.
was fine.
And
The
they
other thing, if I
remember every therapist needs a therapist. So
That
Exactly.
is true.
That's why I wanted to tell Zakira
That is
she
true.
needs a therapist for herself.
every
Amen.
therapist needs a therapist. So
I enjoyed this
yeah.
conversation, and we must pick up where we left off.
Yes.
And we'll keep in contact through the
Our chat.
resilience of the one that was the resilience of Black women and breast cancer.
And
I'll add your names to the group. Okay.
Yes.
If you
Yeah.
got any questions that you
friends,
want to answer, yes, ma'am.
you're not a group, you're a community.
A community, yes, ma'am.
A
Oh,
community
yeah.
of love.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Tamika, now that you're in Atlanta, I need a nice suit. I'm so sick right now.
Okay, so can we finish this recording and then you
Yes.
could ask her?
Yeah.
Okay, unexpected detour is signing
Everyone,
out.
y'all. Bye.
Guys,
Love
Bye.
y'all. Thanks for all the
Bye, everybody.
information.
bye.
Bye.